April 30th, 2023, and this video is called Why Isn't There Moon Dust on the Lunar Module Footpads? Now, this is one of man's great mysteries, I think, because there are so many conspiracies about the moon landing that I'm like a 90%, 10% that we didn't land. There's a lot of footage that looks like we did, but then there's a couple other things that boggle my mind thinking, did we really land there? And the only one I'm going to go at on this video is, why isn't there any moon dust on these landing pads? Now, if you look at the lunar surface right here, it almost could look like the lunar module, that blaster. It's possible you could see it almost looks like this the surface here. Doesn't it look like it's kind of coming this way? So it's possible that it was blasting out the debris. But the theory that I'm going at is, why are these landing pads virgin? There's not a speck on them things. This is what I'm questioning. Now, the moon is covered with this regolith, and the regolith of the moon includes fine gray dust and rock fragments from local bedrock. Okay, it's since the moon lacks a substantial atmosphere, the upper layers of the lunar regolith are exposed to micrometeorites and solar wind irradiation. The constant hail of these micrometeorites breaks up the rock and melts patches of regolith, creating small glass fragments. The lunar dust is incredibly aggressive, invading the nooks and crannies of the lunar module, the space suits of the astronauts, and even the seals of the sample collection boxes. That's how fine this stuff is. The explorers easily kicked up fine-grained material which tended to adhere to anything it touched because of the regolith's electric charge, caused a sort of static cling that made it even harder to remove. Now, this looks like it should be sticking to everything, right? This is what I'm talking about. This right in here. And thankfully, we've got ourselves a close-up. Now, if this stuff was being kicked out by that engine, if it ended up, it should hit this leg, and it would be deposited on this pad right here. But do you see anything? Any dust whatsoever? Even the finest dust particles. And then even inside here, you would think that there would be some dust particles inside here, even on top of this right here, this little part right here. So this is what boggles my mind. I mean, look at this. There's the dust right there. But do you see one speck? 1 micron dust particle on this. This is like virgin. This is what I don't get. Now, to me, I would say this landing pad is almost like a cup. It would hold anything that would fall onto it. And I'm seeing an empty cup. There's nothing in this cup. Now, this gray tape over here caught my eye. Now look at, it's just like taped up over here. Looks like it was just slapped together, kinda. And these little nooks and crannies right here, you would think if it was getting inside sealed boxes, why isn't it getting, where's the moon dust like in these nooks and crannies? I mean, to me, it's like you almost might find some chewing gum wrappers while you're at it here. Can you kick up dust on the moon? Unlike the Earth, moon dust isn't packed down. Any activity on the surface can kick up buckets full of the stuff. So I would think that stuff would be floating around after they landed. So none of it adds up. Now this is the blaster right here as it's coming down. So this is not no little tiny little gas motor engine here. This is a pretty substantial engine. Now this is a Norman Rockwell. Look at the blaster, how it's like emanating from this guy right here. This is the culprit. And you would think that would kick up some of that dust over here, right? This is a simulating dust interaction with lunar lander thruster plume. Look at this guy. It's coming and blowing this stuff up. Now, I think if I read this right, these blasters only were put on, I think, they were on till the last 3 feet. Now, here is on Earth when they were testing the landing pad. And you can see how it's just kicking all this stuff up. This is what they say about the lunar surface. Has limited sunlight, extremely cold temperatures, and lots of dust, aka lunar regolith. Now this is an actual video of them landing, and you could see the dust being scattered. Watch this. See this right here? Look at it. See this? Look at this. Right on the landing surface, they say. Check this out again. This is just very interesting. Look at that stuff. It's being like jettisoned out. And this is what I think. When the spacecraft is about 2,000 feet from the target, it switches to the landing phase. This is when the computer hands over to manual control to the commander, who guides it for the final touchdown. Slowed to a hover, the module can be steered by tilting it like a helicopter to make any necessary corrections. This isn't a formality. When Neil Armstrong brought his lunar module Eagle into land, he found that the site was strewn with boulders and had to very quickly find somewhere else to put it down. Small wonder Mission Control held its collective breath. Then, when it's just above the surface, one or more of the 67-inch wire-like probes will touch the ground and then contact an indicator light that will go on in the cockpit. The commander cuts that engine, and the module drops the last 3 feet, which that makes no sense. That kind of hard landing, you wouldn't think. As it hits, a crushable aluminum honeycomb cartridge in each primary strut compresses to absorb the shock. The legs are now useless for another landing, but they aren't going anywhere. And there is, so up to 3 feet above the surface, the thrusters are on. And now the last 3 feet, it just drops. Now, wouldn't you think that any of that debris would land on this pad? I mean, look at these guys. It's the total virgin landing pads. Look at this. So that's why I say this is one of the great mysteries of mankind, because this just boggles my mind. If we landed on the moon, okay, but why isn't there any dust, moon dust, on the landing pad of the lunar module? What do you think?
Can say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.